husband. So I created this podcast to help people deepen their relationships with themselves, their spouse, and their kids. And I have never had a monk on before, an official monk. So I appreciate this.
No problem.
Here's the first question that I ask everybody. So I want to make sure I'm consistent with my first question. And Venerable, when you wake up in the morning today, what is it that just makes your heart beat out of your chest and sing for the day that's ahead of you?
What makes it? Well, first and foremost, when I wake up every morning, I say to myself, since everyone knows that the color of my robes mean death. So when I open up my eyes, I realize I was blessed with 2 gifts this morning. Those are my eyes. And now that I'm engaged in especially going public on all platforms, I realize that the world's waiting for me. The many one-on-ones that I've been counseling with and guiding and coaching. It's a very different perspective now that I'm in this role and the responsibility that I have taken on. So I look really forward to that. That's what makes me, I have a duty today as a monk, after being blessed with 2 eyes and to function normally.
Yeah. Beautiful. That leads me into a question that you just asked. What enticed you to post your first video on social media or go on, because you don't see many monks on social media, correct?
No, you see them because
okay.
The rest of the world, they don't friends with monk. And if you are friends with a monk, the next question is, are they, I apologize for that.
That's okay.
The question is, are they bilingual or are they trilingual English? Then, are they willing to teach? Or so there's monks are humans too. Some are very dedicated to the practice. Some go public a lot. Some meditate often, or some just do research into Dhamma, variety. Your question was what inspired me for the first video was that the peace that I experienced in this path, the path to peace, I wanted to share that with everyone. I told everyone on all of my videos that I grew up just like all of us. I immigrated here when I was 7 and went through all of the public school system, graduated, went to college, studied psychology. And along the way, the vicissitudes hit this point, that point. I had very important, stressful jobs. Being a medical interpreter, a legal interpreter. I was appointed as a head of a security company. Everything was all serious. You can't say the wrong thing in a court of law. You can't say the wrong thing in a medical setting because people die. Imagine you're off by 10 milligrams or something. And in a court of law, if as a judicial officer, under that capacity of an interpreter, if I say something wrong, then they can go to jail for a very long time without the possibility of parole. And so my grandmother passed away, and then that was the start of the path to peace. And I've been meditating for 18 years. Long before I became a monk, I meditated samatha for 13 years. I was a very young man, 14 years old. And along the way, with this peace I had to share with the world. And then, of course, further into the studies, I realized that Buddhism was a comprehensive educational system. They teach things that our public schools do not teach. And so that was lacking. Emotions, thoughts, feelings, all of these things. And I grew up, there were points in my life where I was severely depressed, anxious, anxiety, panic attacks, even through bipolar. I didn't have a perfect family. There were also fights. There were also struggles. There were always the power struggles. I had friends, just along the way, I experienced all these things we all experience.
Yeah.
I think this is why people are very drawn to me, because they see how real I am and the things that I experienced. Some monks, they don't live this life. Some monks were in the monastery for so long. They don't really experience life, so they don't know what it's like to actually suffer as a lay person. So when I started to go public, I was scared to death, and I realized I needed to start the wheel of Dhamma and teach as much as I could without any expectation that I was going to have any followers. I actually friended a bunch of random people, and in hope that they would receive something out of it.
Mm. Well, since you've experienced both ends of the spectrum, what would you say is like one or two things that like Western society gets wrong about Buddhism, that they label it or something like that you see?
In the West, we label a lot of things. We draw conclusions, sometimes blow things out of proportion without having facts and evidence, and misconstrued facts and evidence. Especially so many articles are written about this, what the media chooses to cover. Buddhism is subject to praise and blame, like the Buddha said. No one exempts from praise or blame, including me. What we get wrong, well, we get a lot of things wrong and inaccurate. For example, this is a little fun.
Yeah.
Think that monks don't talk. People think that, why is it that we have to bow down, prostrate to the Buddha? Why do you worship Buddha? All right. Those are some of the things that people just see online and stuff like that, and they don't really get it. Don't understand that when you see a statue of a Buddha, it is a symbol of attainment that you should strive for, which is enlightenment, which all of us have the capacity to access right now, in this moment. In this moment, if I say, do I have your attention to the sound of my voice? And in this moment, if everyone practices deep listening skill, active listening skills, is not thinking about the past or the future, then that is enlightenment right now. That's one definition of enlightenment. So there's a lot of things that Westerners, due to differences in culture and tradition, heritage, they tend to draw inaccurate perception conclusions about Buddhism. So I hope those help.
Yeah, that was great. Well, okay. And speaking of, so you talked about depression, bipolar, anxiety. Did you heal these issues by becoming Buddhist or through meditation? Like, what was it that healed this part of you?
Yeah, it took a lot of studying, took a lot of tracing back. Everything that I'm suggesting people to do now when I do one-on-one with people, you have trauma, addiction, abuse, all sorts of abuse, psychological abuse, sex abuse, physical abuse, everything that people have gone through, I've gone through it. And so I think what's most important is the practice of paticca samuppada, dependent origination. Part of the healing process is to face it one last time, which is really tough. Our minds were designed to run away from a lot of things, run away from painful experiences, and not to see things as they are. Our mind's very tricky. We're using the mind to fix the mind. We're using the one thing that produces so much problems that could create hell and heaven for us to fix itself. And so I think that the fact that I paid attention, the ability to pay attention, I think I have some mindfulness in me already when I was born, helped me through the healing process, paying attention to how I felt, like how did I get here when I suffered the way that I did and hit rock bottom, and it was on a suicide mission, and I asked myself, how is it that I got to where I am? How is it this bad? So I started tracing back in silence. I took a retreat up in Gainesville, sat in silence, no phones, no contact with family, nothing. Pretty much cut off the cord with the world for almost a good year, and retraced my step I actually took a pen and paper and wrote my timeline, since I came to America, what happened, who I fell in love with, how did dad raise me, how did mom treated me, why we don't get along, who are my friends. I started tracing. So dependent origination is the links of influence. If we put it in simplest terms, links of influence that led to where we are today, the causes and condition. Okay. So, it's always been very healing during that long process. So I could say that the young teacher sitting in front of you has done his homework, the good, the bad, the ugly, to face it and to learn to love oneself and to accept oneself for one's flaws and the imperfections, the mistakes, the guilt, the shame, all of it, all the above, right? And meditation did wonders. After I came to conclude that part of my life, I was very much at peace to have compassion and understanding for myself. And when I meditated, now there was a moment where I sat for 3 hours. I remember it was on or about 10 or 11, and I opened up my eyes at 2 a.m. And there was no physical pain. There was no mental pain. I was in a place that kind of like The Simpsons when they, the outer universe thing where you just see white dots in a black environment. The experience, the sitting experience was like maybe 20 minutes. But it was actually in human time, 10, 11, 3 to 4 hours. But it felt, my body just felt like I sat there for 20 minutes. And that was the first taste of peace. I don't know what level of jhana that is. I don't know if that is enlightenment there for a second. It sure did like enlightenment, because if enlightenment is that, if nirvana is you don't feel physical pain or mental pain as an arahant, the path to arahantship, well, I sure got a taste of that for a good 20 minutes and 4 hours in human time. And that was very healing. And at that point, that was the changing thing for me.
Are you in that state of being most of your waking hours now, of peace like that?
So, I'm sorry, just give me a second real quick.
That's okay. This is a podcast. It's totally cool, man. Anything could happen. My daughter could walk in at any moment.
Everything's going off. It's part of TikTok Monk 911. So we to funerals and, just like a pastor or a priest. So I apologize. Wow. So do I experience that all the time? Now when I meditate, all of the collective experience in my meditation now has the results that I have now. And this is not to brag or anything like that. This is, you have to keep with the practice. Collective, accumulated collective practice will lead to certain levels of peace that you will experience for yourself. Now, actually, when I meditate, especially mindfulness of the breath, that when I close my eyes, no thoughts arise. Literally no thoughts arise. And I have so much going on when I open my eyes, but when I close my eyes and I realize, when I access here and now through the technique of just enjoying the breath, in breath one, out breath one, or breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. But it's so automatic now after, what did I say? 18 years? Well, hold on, what? It was 13, then 5. So it's just so automatic now that, Bailey, no, ma'am. All right. It's so automatic now that my brain just jumps into that mode. So I hope that for people who struggle along the path, that they keep at it. And the reward is really great with, the access to peace and the experience of peace itself when you need it. So yeah, I close my eyes and man, it's wonderful.
Do you not have thoughts when you close your eyes anymore, or they still come every now and then?
Let me reflect on that. See, last time I had thoughts.
I mean, that's from my end, that's impressive. I guess I could say, like, whew.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't, because when we realize the Four Noble Truths, it you know what you should cling on to and not cling on to, and it's so automatic. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like I would say like a doctor who's been doing it for so long. He knows what to do, what not to do.
Sure.
Like police officers, you know, that they see a dark area and they're like, oh no, I'm gonna wait for backup. I'm not gonna go in there alone. You know, when you wisdom arises in your practice, then you just don't take these foolish actions to contribute to your own suffering.
Yes. That's a great segue here. So contribute to your own suffering. You work one-on-one with people you mentioned, and, you know, sex abuse victims, stuff like that. So when you hear these stories, do you get any sort of hatred towards the person that did this selfish, horrible act to this individual?
So in my line of previous work, you can call me like a private social worker, because when I was a legal and medical interpreter, I've handled case management from beginning to end. Like there was this one police chief named Mr. Liang Pham, who was a former police chief before coming to America. By the time he got here, he was already retired. And he and his wife lived here in America, here in Pinellas Park, Florida. I grabbed the case as a medical case from beginning. And then somewhere down the line, as I was working as a jeweler in my 19, 20 years old, around like 20, 19, 20 years old, you know, he actually took in his wife's medication. And so as a result, he died. He died that night. I got the call, and I went over there, and, you know, there goes the body. There's the drape over the body. And she says, you know, I'm alone, and I got to go back to Vietnam. He's dead. No one's going to take care of me. I got to be with my kids who are in Vietnam. And so pretty much I went and signed the paperwork down at, a Life Tribute to start the cremation process. Then they handed me his ashes. Then I sent his ashes to Vietnam. So one could describe me as a private social worker without having a LCSW, because of the nature and practice that I was engaged in as an interpreter from start to end on many cases. And so witness, again, abuse, domestic violence, aggravated assault, battery, felony murder, crimes against children, crimes against this and that. And when you couple that with the teachings of the Buddha, as particularly karma, is that we are where we are today as a direct result of our previous karma. And that could take last lifetime or multiple previous lifetimes before that. And so let's say this person was raped by this person. And it sounds like, yeah, you know, whatever the details are, drunk or not drunk, or walking through the alley and this guy jumped on her and did what he did, the horrendousness of it. According to the teachings of the Buddha and in karma, is that there's a possibility where the victim may have raped someone else in their previous lives, was an aggressor. And of course, they don't remember that. And so now they're paying for it. Karma ripens when it ripens. Even the Buddha have told us that, I mean, even if I was a scholar or monk now, holding multiple PhDs in Buddhist studies, multiple dissertations in karma, the Buddha have already said, there's one thing you guys are not going to fully grasp, which is the mechanics of karma. I think we have such great respect for it around the world, globally. Some people say instant karma, you know. So we see a lot of suffering, including people in my own family, my own blood, that was subject to a lot of suffering, a lot of torment, abuse. And it's their karma. And basically you understand that, you have compassion for them. Getting angry doesn't solve anything, you know, but that's how the law of cause and effect works.
Interesting.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah. So there's no hatred. Yeah. Instead of hatred, you choose compassion and understanding almost, it sounds like. Let's just switch gears here. What do you own anything? Do you own like any?
I own the phones that I have. I have laptops that were donated, and sometimes I take my own money. So my parents do support me on the spiritual path. And sometimes people make donations, and that donation goes to buying the necessary now media equipment to effect the purpose of spreading the Dhamma and practice. So I own. So if you were to ask me, I own the laptops that you see here.
Yeah.
The time of this podcast, there are multiple laptops in front of me, 2 phones, GoPro, to help me with this project.
And you live in a community?
Correct. Time due to COVID, I have retreated, mostly visiting my parents and living with my parents from time to time. I visit temples from time to time. I am not associated with any temples. After being a monk for 5 years, now going on 6th year, you can go off on your own after your apprenticeship, is what they call it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so, okay. So that, more of like a curious question when I see like you're flying, to a different town or wherever you're at the airport, like how are you getting paid? Is it all through donations? Is that the way you guys work as a community or as a fellowship? I don't know.
So, for the past, well, I just started actually this fundraising project. But when I started out as a monk, I actually, because observing the Vinaya, the rules from the monastic order, they're very strict. The Buddha says, don't touch money and don't touch gold, don't touch anything that is precious. And as a young monk, you tend to be a target, just, running around in gold color, orange spice colors. People see you and you can read the Vinaya. Anyone can access the monastic code, just like the law book, like peeing in public is wrong. And so monks touching money is wrong. So modern day, we have to make adjustments to a lot of things. Like if I go to the doctor's office, I gotta pay my copay.
Right.
So of course I have to hand them $5 for my copay. So when I first started out as a monk, I actually refused donations and offering because it wasn't necessary. All of my basics were met, and my parents really support me on that path. And that's less is more in Buddhism, and less was more for me. My whole life, I've had it all. I've had gold jewelry, I've had fine things, Mont Blanc pens, and you name it, but didn't bring peace to me. And as the more stuff you accumulate, you got to have a system of guarding it, or else people steal it. You can agree. Likewise, if anyone's listening, if you were a king and you had a lot of 24 karat gold, yeah, you got to guard it. I mean, they're going to come in and take it, anything. So I've been refusing donations up until recently, where the followers and the questions, all of these compelling factors that led me to believe that the choice of the people they have chosen out of all the monks that exist right now in the world, that they choose me for guidance and advice to answer questions, right? It's apparent that it can be seen as a vote. When someone follows you, when someone messages you, direct message you, reach out to you to the extent of following, pretty much going to all social media platform looking for me. And when I'm doing one-on-one with people, they're on point with time, very respectful. I love it. So they have made their choice. And I believe that the causes and conditions are right in this moment of my life to do a fundraising, to open a meditation center, I hope, here in Florida, so that we can reduce teen suicides from all ages, increase resiliency. We were in accumulated despair according for COVID. Then COVID came in, it just compounded suffering. And because you're over there and I'm over here, and you can't see the screens that I have. And when you read some of these stories, you're like, this is really happening from all ages. I think the youngest person that reached out to me was 12 years old. His Instagram picture is consistent and indicative of someone who is 12 that reached out and said, "Mommy and Daddy's got issues, soccer practice. Right, my life sucks right now, pretty much." And he's reaching out to me, and I can't imagine, when I was 11, 12, all I knew was, how to kick a ball and just enjoying the moment. So the causes and conditions at the current time is that I hope that if people have, if they continue to choose me, and if they continue to believe in this great cause, if Buddhism prosper, then everyone prospers. And we are in shortage of, clearly there's a shortage of monks, bilingual monks. I like to use the funding to train young monks right now, in funding them to learn English, so that they're bilingual. I like to train them Buddhist psychotherapy. At Eckerd College, they train me to do counseling psychology, human development. There are key ingredients that a modern day monk, a city monk, should know, should be well cultivated to deal with the masses of suffering to come in the foreseeable decade. My assistants, and so now that the donations go to my assistants, some of them to fund the assistants, which is first year college students who are very bright and intelligent, and they're my extensions now to help me with scheduling and just the details of helping people.
Yeah.
A systemic, like a medical model of helping people, keeping progress notes, process notes, nicknames on Instagram. Is it on my orange account, on my red account? How do I contact them? Or what was this time, so and so. So in the details of that.
Yeah. Your energy is better spent in the actual process of helping. Do you, and you get a lot of DMs on TikTok and Instagram, right? You have any girls reaching out to you? Hey, Venerable, are you single? Are they reaching out to you asking you for that?
Those comments are still active and present on TikTok right now. So I have to use my assistants like Josh and Leo and Wesley to screen them for inappropriate comments.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bullying too.
Is there bullying? Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of bullying, and there's a lot of oh my God, you're so cute. I wish you were my husband. I wish you were my
boyfriend.
Like my boyfriend. My boyfriend is a beep 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 beep. So as a monk, I'm trained not to be to that and sensual pleasures, and I'm trained in death meditation and meditation on the 32 parts of the body. So what we find attractive with the female body, we find the unattractive nature of it, to see the body as it truly is, the true nature of reality of the body. So there are a lot of monastic training that I hold and experience where when a really hot chick hit on me, I basically have X-ray vision within her. I see that she's going to die. I see that she's subject to impermanence. She's subject to dukkha, suffering. She's subject to the non-self that, I can't really control her and vice versa. The three marks of existence. So these things come within seconds when someone hits on me, attractive or whatever, or,
Okay, so, now you opened up a curious portion here. We won't spend a ton of time, just a couple minutes, but obviously you didn't have this before you were a monk, right? You had a girlfriend, you said, and stuff like that. And it just seems from my perspective how difficult that would be to make that switch, to not have any kind of like sexual attractiveness to a female. You know what I mean?
I was very much addicted to sex in my younger days. So I'm showing you a tattoo through your screen, right?
Christina.
Lover, right? I tattooed my previous girlfriend. We're still good friends to this day. So I've loved before. I know what it's like to have been brokenhearted, heartache, you name it. I've had multiple partners in my life. I was not good at loving, so I figured I should go to school for it. That's when I dedicated my so many years at Eckerd College, 4 years at Eckerd College, to studying pretty much love, how to communicate, marriage counseling. And so subject to the changes, again, impermanence, the suffering of that, not having the skills, because our schools don't teach us how to love, how to deal with deal with breakups. There were suicide moments in my life, where I thought it was the end of the world. It hurt so bad. The heart aches so bad. The intensity and gradient of the suffering is unlike any other. Could be described as surviving a shark attack on land. Mm. And so now I know what it's like to truly fall in love, and what it's like to not be in love, what it's like to be still, what it's like to walk the road less traveled, with no drama, with, you didn't text me back. What's wrong with you? Stuff like that, things that go along with the deep relationship. Yeah. To peace is that you have to let go of a lot of things, when we look at sex, let's talk about sex, right? When we look at sex, is the sex always satisfying? Does it last forever? Can you always control what's happening in bed? And so when we look at the 3 marks of existence on the subject of sex alone, we see that the more we desire, the more we crave, the more we want. Just like chocolate. That falls under sensual pleasure too. Sex, chocolate, could be the same thing. You eat a Godiva or Ferrero Rocher, you're like, oh my God, somebody give me another one, please. You want more. And then when it's like scratching an itch, once you have an itch, you scratch, you're like, oh man, this is really satisfying. So I hope that answers that.
Yeah, it makes sense, because what is the goal of, is there a goal to Buddhism? Enlightenment, right? And enlightenment is freedom from suffering. So you can't be attached to those things. You can't have that to have the true enlightenment. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you have to approach it with intelligence in this life. Everything is approaching at a very intelligent level nowadays. Look at Amazon. The logistic and details of shipping, you get your stuff next day. That takes intelligence, logistic, detail, and strategies. When you study Buddhism and put this into practice, I tell everybody this. I say, you must be intelligent, Now you need to figure out what really causes you suffering. We meditate on the Four Noble Truths. We meditate on impermanence. Go out, sit underneath a tree, realize it, experience impermanence, see it, okay? So there's a lot of programs that I run one-on-one with people, very potent stuff. So Ji Dao, Ji means intelligence, and Dao means the way. So we approach it in a very intelligent way to end suffering, and quite fairly quickly. Because if you sat there and read all 45 volumes in his 45 teachings, and the Buddha taught for 45 years, you read the 3 baskets, the Tripitaka, Tipitaka, you'd be like 90 before you even get anywhere. So it's my job as a monk, and I have great joy in dissecting, disseminating the teachings of the Buddha into simplest form that even, a 6th grader could get and practice and realize enlightenment. A 6th grader can be an arahant. That's the program. It's rapid realization program that I came up with. Because life in America, I'm stepping into the West and life moves 100 miles an hour.
Right.
Been there, you've been there. So it's time for us to apply everything we know with extreme level of social, emotional intelligence, and with the intelligence of studying, and apply it quickly to put out the flames of suffering.
You mentioned the, and I have a million things I wanted to ask you, so that's why I'm kind of making sure I get through some here. But you mentioned,
have me until like 4 o'clock. So.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to love to hear this, that are going to desire to hear this, right? We desire, that's one thing. So actually, you know what? Let's ask that first. Well, you mentioned 4 Noble Truths. Can you just tell us, the audience, what the 4 are? You don't have to go into great detail. Just
sure. So I keep it really fun for everybody. Number 1 sucks, which is there's suffering in life. Well, let me go through the 4 fun ones. Number 1, life sucks. Number 2, life sucks because you want stuff. Number 3, if you don't want life to suck, stop wanting stuff. Number 4, the path to not wanting all of these things, to liberation, the path to true inner peace, true inner liberation, is by following the Noble Eightfold Path. So when we go into the academic side of it, just in compression and short, is that there is suffering in life. What does that mean? That means there is stress, uneasiness, unsatisfactoriness in life. Birth, old age, decay, and death is suffering. Everyone can see that. There's stress in that. That's why babies cry, because they're like, oh my goodness, I was warm up in there, and now, oh, it's cold. God, this hospital is cold. Sheesh. Right? That's stress. That's uneasiness. That's unsatisfactoriness. Right? Decayed, old age, death. As we age, we're aging every day. So one can see suffering in life. That's the true nature of reality of life. And then desire, right? Want more toys, want more cars, want more girls, want more sex, want status, fame, glory, want title, want PhD. We want all these things. Getting what you don't want is suffering. Wanting something and not getting it is also suffering. And that's something that if people see clearly, they're like, okay, maybe I should stop wanting things, or think about it intelligently, that I'm really suffering. It's not sitting well. This is why people are snappy. And I think in one of your questions, you asked me why people take things so personally, because that just compounds what is pending on their shelf, because they can't get what they want. And so the slightest thing happens to them and they take it really personally, and the ego arises. Number 3, if you don't want life to suck, stop wanting stuff. I think everyone kind of get that. I kind of touched up on that too.
Yeah.
The Noble Eightfold Path is, right view, right thought, right intention, right mindfulness, right effort. It's not in order. I'm just going off because I want to say right mindfulness. You follow all of that, and you will live a blameless life. The Buddha said, live a blameless life. One sentence, or as blameless as it could get. If you can't reach enlightenment in this lifetime, we'll get close to it, as close as you can to it. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I'll never be perfect. But you know what? Let's get as close as we possibly can. Better outcome.
Yeah, I appreciate all this. So coming from myself and my experience with others, it's very difficult for people to get to these points that you're talking about, because they don't even have and I can say this from my own experience, they don't even have the awareness to begin on this, right? To follow the Four Noble Truths or Eightfold Path, or even accept the fact that that there's more than this illusion we're living in, right? That there is suffering. And so I'm always pushing, not pushing, or I guess, I'm always telling, start meditating. That's my starting point, is sit down, be still, and meditate. If you need it guided, go through guided. And is that a starting point that you suggest people to get to really start to progress on their path towards awakening?
So right now there's a collective change of consciousness in our world. Clearly, I can do social psychology research right now, cross-sectional, longitudinal research right now, with just based on what's going on with my TikTok. I give my TikTok over to any PhDs. They can see that there's a collective change in consciousness with people realizing their own suffering, and they really want to alleviate that by reaching out to someone like me, or the curiosity of Buddhism. So they say that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And people change when they're sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of the things that they're doing that's causing the suffering. So once they are awakened to that, that's when shift starts to happen. Because me running around telling people, hey, I think you should meditate, and if they're not ready, depending on their level of growth and development, forget it. They're just going to be like, oh, okay. And I talk about enlightenment. They're like, okay, dude, you are definitely in another planet. But for those who see suffering, see the causes of their suffering, wants to end it, they will start searching, just like how people started searching for Ajahn Chah with the Thai forest tradition. I mean, Ajahn Chah went into the forest and they had to go in the forest and looking for him without GPS or Google Maps, search to alleviate suffering, And this is why people go to Nepal and other places, because sometimes you got to get away to find yourself. But it starts, the root of it is that one must see one's suffering clearly, and how it is a perpetuating process, the hamster wheel, also known as samsara, that they're creating their own samsara. For example, keeping someone toxic in their life, and just the circle of poison in your bloodstream being with this person, or what it is, the attachment that we can't work this out, can't get a divorce, can't live with each other, but it's not working out, it's costing me peace. Whatever is costing you peace is too expensive, said the Buddha. So, this is why I'm telling people, look really carefully at the details of your life. I don't live your life, I don't know. You do. You know the details of your life. You know every step you take in a day that causes you suffering or bring joy to you, to your heart. You create your own hell or heaven based on your own human effort.
I went through a similar exercise personally about 2 years ago or so, or maybe it was a year and a half ago. I wrote down like everything I do throughout the day, conversations, people I interact with, and then I rated it from a 0 to 10, 10 being like it caused me the most happiness and satisfaction. And then, 0 was just absolute, like wanted to kill myself if I, was ever in that situation. And then I eliminated a lot of this, most everything below a 7, 8, and 8, and moved on from there. So I think like writing it down helps us see things more clearly too. But how do you handle the bullying that you get on social media? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. There you go.
Let me touch up on the writing things down.
Sure.
Everyone who's gone one-on-one session with me right now actively, I tell them to write it down, keep a journal, so that, see, we humans are blind to us and we're blind to the things that we do, simply put. I got by in life journaling, putting my thoughts and feelings, reducing it down to writing, having a conversation with myself. Dear journal, today sucks because my teacher sucks, because my teacher gave me so much homework that I wish my teacher would have COVID. So when you put that down, you catch these thoughts, these unwholesome thoughts, and you catch yourself thinking the thing, and you're generating karma right there and then. And likewise, into the details of people's lives. I want them to reflect every night, reflect what you're doing, what you did, and what you want to do tomorrow. Now journal, pen, paper can change your life. Pen, paper can help you measure your progress, your spiritual growth and journey. Okay. So I just wanted to piggyback on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Writing. Yeah. So the bullying, right, actually leads me to give you this statement that the frequency and recency and the type of vocabularies that's being used in bullying me particularly, a man who is dedicated to peace. I am a representative of the human race. I am a representative of the monastic order. I am a representative of Buddhism. The colors we wear is again, dedicated to world peace and alleviating suffering. Buddhism has never waged war with anybody, and so when they direct their hatred towards me, hatred, unwholesome, ill will, making fun, one could see it as disrespectful. A venerable is one who is worthy of veneration. One who basically given up everything to alleviate the suffering of others, for you and for all. And so they would people, like, why do you have braces? That's not very monk-like. But they failed to see that it could be for medical reasons, structures and stuff like that. Matter of fact, the orthodontics even suggested surgery in the mouth as a result of medical issues, structure of the jaw and bone and bites and stuff like that. So they think that it is that I'm doing it for vanity. A monk shaves his head because he's given everything up, including his looks, everything. And when we give Dhamma talks in Thailand or something, we have a fan in front of us. We hold up a fan, and the fan pretty much has a picture of a Buddha or the Noble Eightfold Path. And your job is to separate the message from the messenger and not to fall in love with the monk, or, oh, the monk's so nice, his skin is so nice, he's so young, he's so handsome,
Wow.
So people make fun of braces. People are like, you're going to go to hell. This religion is the only path to liberation. Your religion sucks. You're going to go to hell. You're going to burn. Just all of that. And so I have really compassion for them, because I think that they're suffering a lot, and it manifests through the language that they use on the social media platform. In Buddhism, even taught us, accept all religions, accept everyone, LGBTQIA plus, gay, straight, everybody, and to see and to understand them, and to have compassion for them. And so, I pray for those people every night, that may they be well, may they be happy. I practice meditation, and they're in my mind, that may they too be free of mental suffering. May they too be free of physical suffering, because it's just boiling out. The anger, the hatred, the self-anger, the hatred, just everything that they have been conditioned, their own causes and condition in their own life, the unresolved business, the beach ball effect, pushing down the beach ball into the water. It will come up, and it's coming up, and it so happens to be my platform, So again, my assistants to the Venerable, they go through and they just delete it, because we don't want hate to circulate. And hate cannot cure anything. It is through love that you will cure hate, not hate versus hate, or anger versus anger. We've seen it, this person wages war and the other one wages war, and the next thing you know, both sides are trying to nuke each other.
It almost seems like it's in pure insanity, right? When you really talk about it.
Yeah. So that's how I look at it. It doesn't affect me. I don't take it personal. I am subject to praise and blame in every way, shape, and form. So it's the true nature of being human. Or sometimes maybe it is my own karma that I'm getting all these nasty comments, Hey, whatever I said in my last life, now it's biting me in the butt, and I willfully, knowingly, and intentionally, I will accept that. And, bows and arrows flying at the Venerable.
Man, if there's something peaceful and a relief feeling listening to that. I have a group I meet with every Friday. It's me and five other ladies. Actually, I'm the only male in the group, and we talk about, right now we're talking about the Don Miguel Ruiz's Four Noble Truths, I think it's called. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Don't take things personally. Are you familiar with that book?
No.
But anyway, and one of the things we were talking about was like having a feeling, being able to get to the point of, and I know it's an ego thing, right? When somebody says something to you or talks to you, and you completely disagree with their viewpoint and how they see things, and you just feel yourself inside boiling up, or like your body, you feel in your body, your body's starting to tense up and do weird things, and you try to let it go, but you just like, to get rid of that feeling would be such a great thing to do, but it seems almost impossible, because we have because we're built with this perspective and these glasses we've had on our whole life that, has boosted up and our ego and who we are, or we think we are, right? How do you relieve, how do you let go of those type of feelings? Is it just a continual practice?
First and foremost, we have to try not to have those feelings arise in the first place by approaching things skillfully. So when people say certain things that touches our deep core beliefs, our convictions about certain things, religion, it may be more monk 911 calls. When, we all have a certain standpoint, like for me, I truly believe in the teachings of the Buddha, but if someone was to challenge that, I say, the Buddha sucks and the teaching never works and you're all going to go to hell. Well, first and foremost, whatever is troubling you, that is your teacher, says Ajahn Chah. So the way how we respond to things is really important. Okay. Sometimes, well, certain criticism is positive and constructive, right? So we have to really open our ears up to hear what the criticism is, how it's touching our beliefs, how it's affecting us in some way, shape, or form. Direct attacks, indirect attacks, just certain comments that just doesn't sit well with our emotion, right? Number one, we have to try to understand our emotions and why our emotions are attached to certain thoughts, why our emotions are attached to certain beliefs and convictions. Again, approaching this a very intelligent way of being human, understanding our thoughts and emotions. You know, my teacher, Professor Ann Giroux at Ecker College, she says, if someone says something bad to you, about you, the first thing is don't be defensive. The second thing is open up your arms and say, hey, tell me more. Because that's where you can change. That's where you have feedback and information to see whether the person could be right, to see where you stand with it. We're blind to us, we're blind to ourselves. And certain beliefs that we held may be wrong, may be inaccurate. Or if they're telling us something, give them the opportunity to screen through it, you know, be like a researcher at that moment and be like, huh. Now, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So the delivery may be harsh. And sometimes we have to caution ourselves, you know, again, having the compassion and understanding for this person, that they feel the need to tell us certain things. Or just have at it with a smile and just say, yeah, I'd really love to hear that. And maybe I would want to think about what you just said, because there's a possibility where I think you may be right. But, you know, but we can have a mutual exchange of information in harmony versus approaching with defensiveness is like, you know, in politics or in religion or anything that is deep rooted within us. And we just fire bows and arrows back. There wouldn't be any meaningful conversations or nobody could learn from anything. In those moments can be teaching moments for both of you. One be a teacher, one be a student, one be a student, one be a teacher. It's a back and forth. When you ask me certain things, you know, I become the teacher. And when I ask you certain things, and, you know, I become the student. It's a very humble way of looking at things. This is why Buddhism is important, especially practicing right speech. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it beneficial? And is the timing of that speech right? You know, calculated, you know, that it's right. If everyone practiced right speech, we would be less offended, you know, less hurt when people approach it skillfully within each other, just to exchange information and have a meaningful conversation with each other to learn. You know, we're always learning. I'm always learning, whether I get 5 PhDs or not, still learning.
Wow. So yeah, the whole idea of curiosity comes into play there.
Because sometimes I go a little deep and then
no, you're good. And I'm actually so I brought up the 4. I just wanted to go back because I didn't want to sound like anyway, it was the 4 agreements were be impeccable with your word, which is right speech, basically, right? Don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. So those are the 4 agreements that this book is that we're exploring right now in my little group, that I just wanted to mention because I talked about it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What do you think about always doing your best? Is that something where you wake up and you're like, today I'm going to do my best with the Eightfold Path? I'm going to do my best with I mean, how do you approach that idea?
In elementary school, there was a poem or a quote somewhere on the wall, and I never forgot it. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and better is best. That stuck with me forever, forever. Every day, I live my life like it is my last. Everyone who lives here in Pinellas County, St. Petersburg, can attest to that. Anyone who has worked under me or with me can attest to that. You will never find someone that says Venerable Tri Dao is lazy. He was so lazy. We've known him since 6th grade, and he's lazy. I will leave the United States if someone can find such findings. I will leave. I will go to Thailand and I will find Dancha's monastery. I got to where I am today, trying my best with everything. I think that's why when you ask me when I meditated, anything comes up, because I'm very much at peace with my effort. done the best I possibly could. And I teach people this. At the end of the day, ask yourself 2 questions. Did you do the best you possibly could? Is there more you could have done? Yes to the first, no to the second. You're at peace, man. You're good. You're golden. Okay? Do the best that you can with the time that you have, with the people that you're with, and with the resources that is available to you for those, right? And if you approach life intelligently, strategically, mindfully, with right effort, right concentration, then you have lived that day. People also, the Buddha says, you need to act. Don't just sit there and think all the time. A lot of people think and they don't act, or they act and they don't think. In Buddhism, we emphasize time, the urgency of time. The Buddha said, the problem is that you think you have time. Why do we do death meditation? So that it reminds us, hey, we're running out of time. We're every day we're closer to death. So you need to do the best you can quickly. Do what needs to be done, learn what needs to be learned, and practice what needs to be practiced, said the Buddha.
It's interesting. There seems like a dichotomy there when it's like, do it quickly because there's not a lot of time left, but be still in your practice, right? And be present, but do it quickly. You know what I mean? There seems to be an opposing force happening there with that.
Yeah. So again, approach it with intelligence and with wisdom. Like a police officer, he has to get your 911. Someone's breaking into your house. He has to get there fast. There's a method to do that carefully. He activates his lights and siren. He clears the intersection as he's trained. He's mindful that the intersection is clear. He goes through it. He waits for proper backup to arrive. So he's getting there as fast as he can with the time that he's got, with the people that he's with, his responding units, with the resources that is available to him, which is his radio and everything else. And then they will approach it with science and trying to help you and not, so you don't be hostage. So in life, use the Noble Eightfold Path to approach it with intelligence. You have to really think about these things. Don't be like, the Venerable said do everything fast. So everything fast and then you mess up at work and you get yelled at and you're like, well, a monk told me to do everything fast, so I did everything fast.
Dude, I'm cracking up.
Yeah. I've caught myself doing things fast, and we just learn from it. We laugh at our own mistakes, and we're like, maybe I didn't approach it in a scientific manner. Maybe I didn't approach it intelligently.
Yeah.
Slowly and then quickly.
That's brilliant. Well, here's an interesting, so you have all these, TikTok followers, and you have people reaching out to you and asking you questions. Does that tap on your ego a little bit, or are you just completely eliminated from that? It's just none of that affects you.
The past 3 years, I've taught on Facebook, and it seemed like nobody wanted to follow. Nobody really cared. It was a little discouraging because I'm trying to effect the purpose of spreading the message of peace and for everyone to achieve peace. When you are at peace, you and individual listeners that's listening now, when you are at peace, your family's at peace. When your family's at peace, our group is at peace. Our group's at peace, our community is at peace. Our community is at peace, our nation is at peace. And then it's spreading out internationally from each context. So, you know what? I like, what's that one quote they say, dance like no one's watching, love like you've never been hurt, and something else after that. And so I just set out with this mission. I'm just going to do the best I can. Again, going back to doing the best I can, I'm going to use these phones that I got. I'm going to teach like I always have been. I've never changed the way how I've taught. And if people, blessed are those who got to hear the Dhamma. Blessed are those who got to hear the teachings of the Buddha. Those who received it, they're maybe closer to enlightenment, closer to practicing meditation. And but now that it's blowing up, it's great. I am trained not to be moved by anything that is positive. I am trained to be moved by anything that is negative. So whether I get 1 million, 5 million followers, I'm just going to continue doing my best. It doesn't egg on my ego because that's, a lot. Let's do that for fame and glory. And clearly, I just want to help, and I just need the resources to effect change. And I have bigger agendas than just teaching meditation and the meditation center. I want to install mindfulness programs within our Department of Education by meeting with, the first thing is meeting with Congressman Tim Ryan, who headed a lot of mindfulness program up in Washington. And in the last couple articles that I read, he spent millions in doing that. We need mindfulness programs in our schools so that our kids would stop taking their lives. They are our future. They are our investment, you know. So
And you're going right to the source.
yeah.
That's I saw that on one of your TikToks. It's like, oh, nice. Yeah. As soon as I get off this, I was gonna do it before. I just didn't do it. I'm gonna PayPal some money. What's the number or Zelle that we can send if we wanted to donate to this cause?
So I did a live talk publicly, again, you know, observing the rules for the monastic order in regards to money. And I asked my dad, who is a professor, and he's still here in Pinellas Park. He has an office. He has 2 CPAs. So he's the one that's handling the fundings for this project, and he's accountable. He is also a active interpreter at the 6th Judicial Court. So he is a judicial officer, an officer of the court. There you go. So again, you know, I picked the person that I trust the most and who is held accountable in the eyes of judges. And so his phone number, which is 727-204-7348. And his email is his name, which is Quang, QUANG, HOANG, the number 1 at hotmail.com. And that's where people make donations. And again, it's not about me. It's about the meditation center is about for everyone. It's your place to come. It's your place to come to relax, unwind, rejuvenate, revitalize, learn the toolbox, learn the tools within your toolbox so that you can go out and conquer the world. The world that's where we're at right now with the political and social climate. And we need these skills necessary to deal with it. You know, how do you deal with it when you're stressed out, when your boss is this, when your coworker is that, when your son is going berserk, and when your wife and husband is not getting along? We teach that. Buddhism is a comprehensive educational system. And I hope that the center can do that for a lot, even orphans and children. And I mean, I just want the world to be a better place, truly.
I love that. I really do. And I'll put that in the show notes for anybody listening that wants to do that. To go back, I had to Google it. Of course, dance like no one's watching, love like you've never been hurt, sing like no one's listening, and live like it's heaven on earth.
Yes, sir. I think the shower stops working.
What's that?
I sing in the shower and the shower stops working.
Never heard that one before. You must have a great voice.
Yeah, but people can live that, what you just said, because part of meditation is letting go. And letting go meaning at the end of the day, I tell people, so before you start your day, meditate. And then at the end of the day, when you meditate, meditation aims to let a lot of things go. We let go of accumulated, acquired negative emotions. We let go of accumulated, acquired negative bad habits all in one day. That could happen.
You do you spend most of your day meditating or not meditating?
I meditate about 3 hours every single day.
And will you do it anywhere?
I do it anywhere. Actually, that's why you guys see it. Whoever's following me on Facebook, for the past 3-4 years and 4 years now, you'll see me at like this park or that park or this beach or Safety Harbor, or I go around and I do I meditate in public to raise awareness. Can you imagine just walking down your routine at the park and you see this bald-headed guy in orange sitting there in peace? And one must wonder, wow, what's going on here? And
I would join you. I hope I see you someday.
Yeah, so I grab my little selfie stick and I just kind of put it there and I just record and like no one's watching, you know.
That's cool. I did see you at the beach and people were walking by, and it's funny because you can see them like they want to look, but they try not to, you know what I mean? They have that like that back and forth in their face. It's really funny.
And a lot of people come up and talk and exchange with me, and they ask me. Some people feel very comfortable. You know, I'm just being me. I don't know what I'm radiating, whatever they're feeling, but a lot of people, you know, they say that, you know, there's something about you that's very peaceful. Matter of fact, they've said that a lot over on TikTok, and I'm like, you guys can feel my energy over TikTok? What's going on? And so, you know, when you're peaceful, when anyone is peaceful, when you're truly at peace and you radiate this energy in a room, you glow. You're like Christmas morning, and people will notice. You know, people will notice. And if you're looking for love, listen, it will make its way there, because you're just this, wow, what is it about her that she's really truly happy with herself? You know, you start attracting a lot of good things in many ways when you're truly at peace with yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. What is one or two books that like really influence you, or you keep coming back to, or that affected you? I saw you had like one that was some for dummies book that you talked about, but besides that one and that one, what books?
So at the current time, because of the amount of suffering that I'm seeing now, um, so if you just Google or Amazon books on Buddhism, the life of Buddha, you get a bunch, and most of them are really good. The first book that changed my life at age 20 was called Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Dummies.
That was that one, yeah.
Yeah, by Wilson Branch and something I saw on my TikTok. And it's funny because that touches a lot of ego when you pick up a book for dummy. One reflects on oneself and you're like, I'm not no dummy. I'm not reading this. This book's insulting. But at age 20, I had to realize that, yeah, how's things working out for you, Venerable? You got to lower that ego in order to learn. You need to be humble at this moment and say, I don't know jack. So maybe I should just approach with that attitude. And I approached that attitude in college too. I didn't walk in and said, yeah, I know everything. Whatever you say, no. So it was a very enlightening book. CBT teaches you how to be aware of your thoughts, emotions, which leading to the behavior. We think the way how we feel the way how we think, and we act on that. And then for starters, I think Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, NHAT, HANH. He's iconic. He's like a titan in Buddhism. He belongs to the Mahayana world. And Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh in his earlier days walked with and spoke with Dr. Martin Luther King to advocate for peace during the Vietnam War. He has Plum Village over there in France right now. So he is such a scholar, writing so many books, including Living Buddha, Living Christ, and when Jesus and Buddha was brothers. So he wrote all these books that merges the two big religion together, and it's so beautiful. You see him on Oprah, you see him on YouTube, talking, having this dialogue, and he's so I'm so at peace when I read all of his stuff. So I think those two books right now is most relevant, effective, and efficient for our audience and for everyone from around the world. CBT really, that's like urgent care for your mind, mental hygiene. And then the urgent care is being taken care of in your mind. Just the inflammation of the mind, the depression, anxiety. Once that calms down a little bit, then you can really absorb the teachings of the Buddha better with Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh's The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching is the title.
The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching. Okay, cool. And you've mentioned, thank you for that. You mentioned a few times death meditation. What are the steps or concepts? What is the concept of a death meditation?
Yeah. Oh, it's about the CBT book is by Rob Wilson. Someone just sent me a message on there. The death meditation aims to shake you up. It's designed to shake you up. If you in the West, we're afraid of death. We don't want to think about it. At funerals, we pump the body with formaldehyde and with makeup, so it looks like we're sleeping. I became a monk after my best friend died, Jacob Hall, and so he looked like he was sleeping when at the funeral home. So we don't do well in the West thinking about death. We actually go with we look for stuff that could extend our life, like anti-age medicine. That's why anti-age medicine makes so much money. We are attached more than anything. If there's anything that we attach more to, it's our own body. You ask me, and me living to 90, that's a long time paying bills. That's extending that. Nonetheless, extending that to 120. with the changes in the body, you know, erectile dysfunction, cardiology, neurology, psychiatry, dermatology, all the review of systems. So death meditation aims to shake you up. Like if you've been lollygagging and sitting on the couch for a long time, and you know life is complacent and just lazy, you know, it aims to say, hey, wake up, because you might die tomorrow and not even realize it. With the existence of COVID, that could happen even more quicker, you know, and depending on your karmic debts too. You know, karma can yank you anytime. So a lot of people don't do what needs to be done, study what needs to be studied, and practice what needs to be practiced. A lot of people have anger, resentment, and they don't reach out and try to make peace with the other person, mom, dad, grandma, auntie, brother, sister, cousin. And sitting there with that pain and suffering, that poison of just constant hatred, doesn't do much good until someone dies. And then you're in a world of hurt and regret. I could have, would have, should have, but I didn't. We see a lot of that. I see a lot of that. Yeah. Death meditation aims to tell you, hey, start making peace with yourself and start making peace with other people quickly, before time runs out. You know, it gives a sense of urgency. And we meditate. We also get closer to death, closer to our own death, our own mortality. So we're a little bit more and more and more at peace with it. You know, desensitization technique, like in behavioral psychology. Again, the color of my robes, all the spice colors, brown, red, it means death. You know, when the leaves fall from the trees in autumn season, those are the colors that you find, including purple. And so I'm reminded of my own death every single day. And so therefore, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm here. I got to open my eyes. A lot of people woke up and they could not see. How we die, when we die, is something that we explore in death meditation. You know, when it's the when that people are so most afraid of, you know, and then how am I going to die? The manner of death. So live the good life, live a good life, and live the good life, and accumulate good karma. Give more, take less. Give more smiles if you have nothing to give. Be nice to strangers. Cultivate a beautiful heart. The heart is like God, and the heart is like Creator. You know, just like Hitler. You know, he made a dent in the world because he had a malice heart, a dark heart. So in meditation, we aim to cultivate that good heart, good wholesome, good heart within you. Heart, mind to be interchangeable. And so death meditation aims to, you know, say, hey, you got a whole long list to do here. The Buddha taught you the methods, samadhi, you have the threefold training, sila, samadhi, panya, morality, cultivation of the heart, which is through meditation, and then wisdom. So we have there is a checklist to do. Get off your couch right now. You can change right now. You cannot be lazy, right now. The Venerable is telling you, you can do it. I believe in you. You know, you're good enough. Get out there and get it done. And you would start achieving peace, and you would feel good about yourself achieving that. Hey, I'm doing the best I can, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, when you have that peace with death, you can be reminded of it daily because you're okay with it. I've personally have found a completely different relationship with death since I began my daily practice. Totally being okay with the unexpected time when it happens. Right.
Yes. Also, death cultivates compassion for other people. When I'm sitting on a city bus and I see 20 people, I see 20 deaths waiting to happen. So this is also, you use death to cultivate compassion for people because everyone has an expiration date. And yeah, I do death meditations at cemeteries. Cemeteries are really peaceful because, you know, try it. You guys try it.
So can you tell me what does it mean? Like I could probably YouTube it or whatever, but what does it mean to do a death meditation? What do you mean? You're doing a guided, you're just thinking about something? Like what is it? Like in metta, you know, you're giving peace, love to someone you love, someone that's you don't know that well, someone that you do not like or have problems with, right? Have an issue with, and then you give it out to the world, right? So what is the process with death meditation?
So death meditation, if it is being guided, actually Bhikkhu Bodhi, Bodhi, he's an American scholar. that teaches it. And basically, you realize your own death. You basically pretend like, well, for monastic training, we actually sit in front of an active rotting corpse. In Thailand, they do that. In Burma, they do that. Sri Lanka, an active rotting corpse, because now you see it. You see impermanence. You see how impermanence the human body actually is. It's rotting. You see the bones. That's all there is. You know, I did a video with Stan, an actual real skeleton, at Dr. David Preston's office here in St. Pete. And I put a quote. I said, who's going to love you when there's no flesh on your bone? We ever think about that? We just close our eyes right now and we just think about our bones, the structure of our face. If we don't look sexy and the elasticity of our skin, who's going to love us, right? And so you sit and you basically dwell on your own death or ways that you think that you could die, when you're going to die, timing. And so a cemetery is a place conducive to that meditation, because you open your eyes or you're there and you're like, wow, these people have expired. And it's really peaceful. Sorry, more than
cool. That's really interesting. Actually, very fascinating. Do monks exercise? Do you exercise besides walking,
Yes.
of course?
Yes. Walk a lot. We can't run. Can you imagine a monk running down the street? That's
what are you running away from, or what are you running towards?
Well, sometimes like monks miss the bus in Thailand, so they're not allowed to run, so they kind of speed walk. But it wouldn't look holy, or it wouldn't look, monastic-y. If you see,
do you find that a little silly? That, like, I'm not judging. I'm just asking you a question. Like, do you find it a little silly that you can't run? Like, do you think that's kind of like, yeah?
Yeah, it is funny, but again, it's their culture and tradition and laws concerning the monastic order. Also, they cannot exercise in Thailand, so therefore a lot of monks are overweight. They're trying to address that. A lot of monks drink actually Coca-Cola in Thailand, and they get a little bit overweight. Why, I don't know. I don't live there. I've visited there, but I didn't spend enough time to do my own research. I hope that law changes in Thailand for the sake of the monastic order. They're gonna have to like make bigger robes.
So basically, walking is the majority. Like, you don't hit up a weight room and pull up, do push up or pull ups and push ups and stuff like that.
So I have experience. I've done martial arts before, and so I use martial arts to keep myself fit. Just basic stretching. And all of the exercises using your own body weight, just look at jails and prison. They use their own body weight most of the time, and they come out pretty buff. So exercise is very important. It curbs depression, and you live long and less health problems. And
okay, I had no idea about the running thing, so that was new news to me. So I know never, if I ever meet you, I won't like race you or something like that. Are you allowed, like,
in the United States, but again, a monk is supposed to walk peacefully, talk peacefully, look peaceful. When a monk's running, something's really wrong. Like World Trade Center type deal coming down or something like that. But we don't want to give that. Again, when you also see police officers running in a mall, something is going down. And but police officers, when they respond to things, they walk a little fast, but they try not to set off an alarm. A monk stands for peace, a symbol of peace. But if a monk is running, we have a mass shooter in progress somewhere. Which way?
You've used well, I'm totally going to honor your time. I will, and I know we only have a few minutes left.
I actually checked that. It's not till 5, so you can take more time if you need to. I think the world's benefiting from this, unless you got going on.
No, this, and I would, I want as many people as possible. I'm going to send this out everywhere. You've used police officers a bunch in like examples. Is there a reason for that, or just easy to use for examples?
I grew up wanting to be a police officer because of the domestic violence that I observed. Didn't have a sense of peace in my life. And sense of control, and I was like, maybe if I become a police officer, I can help people and not go do this. and the power to stop certain behaviors, because I saw so many just outrageous behavior growing up. I didn't feel safe at all. You know, that's why sila is important, cultivating morality. You got to feel safe. If you don't feel safe anywhere for any reason, you won't be able to meditate. There's domestic violence. You can't sit and meditate. Okay. So my whole life, I wanted to become a police officer for the longest time ever. Then at age 20, I tried the police academy here at FHP, Florida Highway Patrol. And Captain George Crutta says, you want to give people speeding tickets and you have 3 pages yourself? All right. Well, maybe how about another 3 more years you can try back? So at that point in my life, I decided to go to college. But at that same time, I think similar around the same time frame, I was appointed chief of security by then Hillsborough County Sheriff Deputy Felix Perez. So then I got to, you know, really experience that side of as closest to law enforcement as much as possible, studying everything that then later concur with my interpreter's job, judicial interpreter. Crime and punishment, that plays a role in our society. So, you know, I was going to do an in-depth talk about Blue Lives Matter, and it's a very hot topic right now, and the compassion that's needed on both sides of the table with the people that is victims of police violence and on the very stressful side of police officers. Because I was so into wanting to become a police officer, I did a lot of research, including police management and the psychology of police. I mean, I could probably pass a dissertation right now, you know, on that study. And so I hope that the police chiefs, the Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs, also install mindfulness programs so that their officers learn how to drop acquired negative emotions, drop acquired negative bad habits, unhealthy habits along the way of the job. I held my position as a private protection officer for a long time. So I worked with law enforcement. I got to see all the fights. You know, I got hit in the face. I had to draw my gun 3 times before I concluded that career. So I know what it's like, the fear, how your mind works, natural selection works to ensure your survival, the knee-jerk reaction, the perception and reaction being in that position. So I really have compassion for everyone, basically, because everybody suffers in uniform or out of uniform. And it takes a lot of understanding for that compassion to arise. And again, if police chiefs put mindfulness programs, we would see a reduction in the use of force, a reduction of a lot of things that we're seeing now that the media is really shining a spotlight on. And in general, we would have more happy and peaceful police officers. That is their description. Peace officer. Peace officer. And let the badge remind, my robes don't make me a monk. My robes remind me that I am a monk, that I should, you know, practice the holy ways and the noble path. A police officer, the badge doesn't make him a police officer. A badge reminds him that he is to uphold the law and do it peacefully, as peaceful as much as possible. You know, use the Noble Eightfold Path to de-escalate. Be humble. Your ego, they don't like you because of your uniform. Not you, you know, your uniform. Or they hate the uniform. They don't hate you, if we were to use that language and that vocabulary, you know. So those things need to be reminded. So I also entertain the thought of me training a bunch of Buddhist monks to teach at police academies. We would have a whole shift and change of our culture of serving.
My mentor, David G., who actually got my certification through, that's what he does as much as often as possible, is he works with police officers and academies, and runs them through, you know, breathing techniques, mindfulness, stuff like that, for exactly the same reasons you mentioned. And, you know, that's another reason why it's so important. I just had somebody on my podcast that in Philadelphia, she's working with all the inner city schools, and she has a mindfulness. She used to run a retreat for 17 years, silent retreat. And she works with all the students in the inner city there. She has a full class. They have to go to it. It's mandatory. And the results she sees by teaching mindfulness is just incredible, that she talks about. And, you know, it's just a small little section that she's doing, but like, the more we can have that, the better the future generations will be with when it comes to mindfulness and policing and everything. I like your viewpoint on having compassion for both sides. I think a lot of people jump. I mean, I'm sure you'd agree that, like you said throughout this podcast, a lot of people will jump to conclusions based on one or two videos or stories that they heard without really fully researching and educating themselves on everything.
Correct.
And that's extremely important to do. And unfortunately, and I'm sure you're aware of this, social media will completely bias you one way or another because they have formulas to only show you what supports your belief. So you just get sucked down that path and thinking and believing your own stuff. So it's really important to fully educate yourself, like you've explained many times on this podcast.
Right. I know people don't have time to research and stuff like that. But again, you want to spread understanding and compassion. The Buddha said that if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. This is why most monks they stay quiet until they're being asked to teach. Then they teach, But likewise, police officers or politicians or even physicians that I've worked with, I can say it's at the application of the Noble Eightfold Path. When you don't enjoy practicing medicine anymore, time to find a new job because you'll be doing direct or indirect harm thereafter. A lot of experience in my years of working with these professionals, these people in leadership positions that are caring for all of us, our hearts, our minds, our world.
And that's interesting. Let me ask you this: when you were wearing your uniform and you put that on back then, before your monk days, what did you get a sense of, like, power, a little bit more rush of like, okay, I'm authority now? Do you know what did that happen to you?
Yes, but I had to reflect on the authority and power invested in me to do the right thing, and it's necessary. It's just like a parent watching kids. Most of our contracts were actually Mexican rodeo events. They get really rowdy. I work birthday events with Vietnamese community, Laos community, Thai community. And what the uniform means is that I focus more on using that to ensure peace instead of myself. You know what I'm saying? To ensure peace is that I need to not fool around when I'm wearing a uniform or pick up my phone or look distracted and stuff like that. It is a symbol of peace in the moment and control, as in, when we see police officers standing like a crime scene or at a car accident, and we see red and blue lights, realize they got it. It's a safe area now, making it safe. Again, morality, sila in Buddhism is about making things safe. I never once thought that, hey, because I have an opportunity to wear all these weapons, and if someone said something, I would do this or do that. It never crossed my mind. And I think that because I follow the Noble Eightfold Path in my line of work, in all lines of work, that now later in this second life, that becoming a monk, now that I'm a monk, I meditate peacefully. If I hurted people while in that position, there's no way I could sit and meditate because they're after me. I wouldn't feel safe knowing that I hurt so many people or planted evidence or lied to police or wrote a report that was inaccurate. How could you sit and meditate if you did not live an ethical and moral life?
What if you did do that stuff? How do you then move on from that? And
never too late to change.
Forgive yourself.
Too late to change. There was a story of Angulimala in Buddhism. This guy killed a bunch of people and took their thumbs and wore it as a necklace. He even threatened the Buddha. Once he realized that he has an opportunity to change, and he was moved by the teachings of the Buddha, he dropped all of his weapons and reformed and became an enlightened being. So anyone can change. And you realizing that what you've done in the past, how much people you've hurt, physically, emotionally, sexually, whatever, you can change, and you start taking steps to, do more good deeds, give more, take less, volunteer, help people, volunteer at churches, temples, mosques, you name it, volunteer at hospitals. Now you need to undo what has been done, do more good. That way you accumulate good deeds.
Reminds me of reading the Bhagavad Gita as you say that stuff.
yeah, Hinduism and We all look at commonalities at what works with different religions.
What is your viewpoint on billionaires as a monk? You know, you have the whole give more than you take. Is that your philosophy? Like, let's say somebody makes 200 grand a year money, let's just go monetarily wise. Is that person, do you believe, or do you have the belief that person should be giving half of it away and keep the other half? Is that how your viewpoint is?
It is each individual's heart to understand how much they accumulated and what is needed in the world. We walk into hospitals and we see like a certain wall dedicated to philanthropists that gave so much, either in the middle of their life or in the end of their life. They gave it all to benefit those who are sick and cannot afford medical care. And it was such a beautiful like hall when you walk through. You're so inspired by it. And one must think that when you die, have anyone here listening or watching, have anyone seen a U-Haul behind a hearse? Okay. Yeah, correct. You can't take all these wealth with you. You cannot take anything with you. You only lose what you cling on to. Let's not forget about that. You only lose what you cling on to. The anxiety that comes with so much wealth, bitcoins and cryptocurrency. Now that's a big thing. A Ferrari and all this. You think you're gonna drag that to the next realm? Mm-mm. So therefore, give more, take less, because you would be remembered as a person who gave so much, and give and don't expect anything back. That's like really giving, because giving and expecting, so I'm giving you money and I need you to like do a shout out for me on like this platform. Something back wouldn't affect the full purpose of good deeds giving, you know what I mean?
100%.
By the way, you asked about the billionaires. So they have a lot of powers. I think you need, 80 billion to like revive. I know that Akon, it's gotta be Akon. Akon wants to build his own city in Africa. And I think he's trying to raise like 80 billion. And so if you are a billionaire, you have a lot of power. All of you billionaires, your group of billionaires, the Cool Kid Club, if they all got together and wanted to address poverty, world poverty, the issue of not having enough water in certain places of the region in the world, they can actually solve that problem very quickly. But again, we're trying to cultivate that heart that is needed for change to happen. The heart is God. The heart can be seen like creator and like God. It's that once you understand the teachings of the Buddha and you have a heart of giving, and you literally change our world for a better place. And may those who take that action, may they become an enlightened being or take favorable rebirths in the next realms, because they truly help what we really need right now. We got one life to live it well. You got one life to live, make the most impact, like Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King, Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. They will always be remembered. That's how you will always be remembered for multiple, probably generations to come. You inspire change within others. And when the heart is moved by other people watching you do the things that you do as billionaires, then they too give. And now we have a whole giving, beautiful world.
That's powerful. Those are powerful words. Damn. Couple just questions about your life. Do you have any like extracurricular hobbies?
At the current time, I can't really engage into like tennis and swimming. I like to swim. I like tennis. I like martial arts. I like bicycling. So yeah, I have hobbies, but right now I think my attention need to be directed to the pain and suffering at hand right now. And I actually stay up till 2 a.m, like last night and all the previous nights. I've stayed up 2 a.m. taking on calls one-on-one. And when I can't reach that person or they miss their one-on-one, I quickly jump onto Instagram actually and say, hey, I have an opening. Would you like to address those issues now? And so I feel like a therapist, a frontline therapist. And these are conscious choices that I'm making so that people can achieve peace that night. That's what I wake up feeling good if I can give some advice that they can use
Wow.
But I'm still taking care of myself. I still walk. Sometimes I walk with the phone and still talk to people. Not mindful, but I'm trying to keep my body going. And as long as my body lasts, and as long as, I'm still in good shape as a young 34-year-old monk, this will be at full capacity until the meditation center is up and running. And I really like to train a lot of monks to take on this task also. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about you taking care of yourself. I'll tell you that much. We're not worried about you filling your cup up. But that's because you would never be able to stay up like that and work. I mean, that is just beautiful what you do. Like truly from my heart to yours, it just it just melts hearing that, because it's amazing. I cannot imagine how many lives are being affected individually for you doing that. Oh,
I started, tightening things up because, some people, I feel not taking the practice seriously. So I did a live talk yesterday, and you can see how, you can see a little bit of tiredness and fatigue in my face due to the logistics and planning and trying to skillfully navigate in helping people, the science of helping people. And I'm like, and I know you guys got a lot of things to do, but please make time to meditate. If you honor your teacher, if you have respect for me, this is the best thing you can do is put it into practice, make it a routine. And that way, we're making a lot of progress.
Yeah. Are you going live on Instagram? Have you been going live at all?
Yeah, I'm still trying to learn. Instagram is pretty weird because you hit the button and sometimes it records and sometimes it's not. But right now, everything is live right now. So we're talking.
Oh, we're up.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
It's on me, not you. Both Facebook account. Over there is my iPad. And then.
I didn't even know that. That's amazing.
Oh, because I figured if you're broadcasting live, right? Or
no, I'm not. But I was going to put it up right afterwards. I just didn't. I should have actually. I didn't even think about that. I probably should have.
Okay. I've done so many lives, and
cool.
I figure, yeah. And actually, I failed to, on a lawful standpoint, ask for your permission and acknowledgement that you were being recorded under Florida two-way communication law.
Permission granted. Venerable permission granted.
You have 30 days to appeal.
Oh, that's too funny, dude. I mean, that's so cool. I had no idea. That's great. So I should have went live. I wish I would have said something, but I guess we can't go back now. So let's just go.
You're okay. I'll be publishing it now or later. It's the same, Yeah. But I also want to say this before I forget. Billionaires, politicians, people in leadership, police chiefs, whatever, chief of medicines. The Buddha taught that if you have power over them, be gentle with them. So when you're in a position of power, like me, I mean, I'm in a position of power. I can, do a lot of things, and police officers too. They have the constitutional authority to take a life. Politicians have ability to change laws and change lives. Doctors have the power to, take you off life support if they wanted to. And just always remember that if you're in a position, if you're a manager at McDonald's or whatever, Amazon, if you have power other people, remember they're looking up to you, and always be gentle.
Always be gentle. That's good. This conversation has been just like full of wisdom. It literally is to the point where my brain is like, holy cow, I just learned so much. I heard so much. Like it's wild right now in my head happening. And this is another just curious question. Do you have other clothing, or is it always 24/7 when you're awake? You wear this robe?
So when I exercise in the morning, I tend to put joggers on, and my angsa is kind of like a tank top, but the right shoulder is exposed. So when you exercise, you don't want your sabong to fall off. So these are square pieces. This is like a queen size bed sheet that I'm wearing. Cool. But most of the time I am in this uniform, except in the morning when I exercise. Even then, sometimes it's a habit to have this just over me because, people were like, huh? I thought he was a monk.
That's funny. Do you know who Jay Shetty is?
Yeah, he was a monk.
He was a monk. Yeah.
Influential. Yeah.
Does that
Thinking like a monk. How to think like a monk or something.
yeah,
like
yeah. Did you read it?
I have not. But
Because you know how to think like a monk.
I can teach people how to think like me, like a
Yeah.
monk. Yeah.
Does that happen often where somebody will come out of monk life? Is that a common thing?
Yeah, you can disrobe anytime you want. You just need to tell one other person in the monastic order. You just tell one other person, hey, yeah, I think this is not the path for me, and I think I'm going to disrobe tomorrow. And then off you go. A person who disrobes is a person who would be going against the advice of the Buddhas. And so, you just have to think wisely and intelligently how you're going to survive and how you're going to go forth from this point. Many have disrobed because, maybe they found the skills already. Maybe they have graduated School of Buddhism and they think, or they believe that they could now take on love, life, challenges in working. And some succeed, and some jump back into the monastic order. You can reordain no more than 7 times. After 7 times, kind of want to steer you away to ensure the purity of the monastic code and path and order.
7. How that that's that sounds like there should be a number for people that get divorced. Like you're only allowed to get married 7 times.
But it's because people change. I think the Buddha realized that it's impermanence. Every 5 years, people change. Every 5 years, people change how they think, behave, their standpoint, their convictions.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, research.
That's really. I've bought in 3 different houses, all within the 5-year mark. I never even thought about reasons why. I've like somehow craved the change and had to do it, I guess. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Unless it's coincidence, I have no idea. Like I moved 3 times. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. This was beautiful. So good. If there is good and bad, right? We know that's another conversation. What's good, what's bad. So I appreciate, Venerable, you being here and bringing your presence and bringing your wisdom. I really do. If you could go back and tell your 18-year-old self anything and they would listen, what would you tell them?
Slow down and look inwards. Stop looking outside of oneself for happiness. Look inwards. Investigate the causes of suffering. Investigate what it is that I'm looking for. Look deep down inside. Start retracing how I got to where I am today. And proceed forward heedfully, which is proceed forward mindfully.
Thank you.
I would say.
Thank you. All right. I will I have your email and other stuff. I'm gonna put this is gonna go live on my podcast on Monday, but I'm gonna put it on all the platforms this week. So
sure.
I will email you and let you know.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my first podcast. So this was, you said, not good, not bad. This was necessary. This is necessary for the world to hear. It's necessary for everyone to hear because they will find comfort. We will reach the people that need to be reached. And hopefully they will get curious and enthusiastic into the practice and practice mindfulness. And, like Insight Timer, I think that shows like how many, like 11 million people or like, I don't know how many, 50 million people like meditating at that time when you access it. I don't really know these app things. I don't really know a lot about technologies, but it's compelling and encouraging for people when they see others practicing too. So that's why we need more meditation center, more qualified, experienced teachers to teach the masses that is seeking the spiritual journey, the road less traveled.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing that you broke through the social media platform and now are becoming, known, because that's how you get your message out, right? I mean, get known and get it out there. I'm so happy you did that, and you're able to use your English speaking monk life to push that through and showcase that, because it's powerful stuff. Even if people don't become Buddhists, right? Just the concepts are you know, because I don't consider myself a Buddhist, but I follow the Eightfold Path. I talk about it every week in my group, and we try to see where we're going wrong and suffering, and see where it's just so powerful. That, you know, whether you want to be Buddhist or not, just showing it and teaching it is really good, really amazing.
Correct. So you don't have to, you know, again, we label things and we're like, huh. So, you know, so you don't have to be Buddhist to realize the Four Noble Truths. And I invite everyone who's listening to just try it out, like science. You know, we've all had science class, and we test a hypothesis, we measure it, we observe it, and we see how well it's working out, what the results are like. You know, again, so I invite everyone to educate yourself, read on it with enthusiasm and curiosity about, hey, what's this Four Noble Truth thing? And then what is this Noble Eightfold Path thing? And you will realize that you don't have to be Buddhist, and it will bring so much peace, and you will see things very clearly. You will see things as they are as you get better at it. And we don't blow things out of proportion. Like Precious and Sierra that I grew up with in Riviera Middle School here. And they, you know, these were my Black friends. These were females. And they were like, don't get it twisted, boo. You know, we get a lot of things twisted, don't we? We blow things out of proportions. The mind jumps, you know. So, you know, I'm really funny. You know, this was a cordial talk, but, you know, I did one on letting go, you know, like on TikTok live. I said, you know, you got to let certain people go. I said, bye, Felicia. Got to go.
Hi, Felicia. I heard you say that. I was cracking up, like, you know, just a down-to-earth monk. Just down-to-earth monk. I love it.
Yeah. So, you know, it reaches the younger crowd, the language to identify, you know, because I've been there. I've had all these friends and drama in my life. And if I could inspire that, you know, there's the two sides of me. You know, there's the side of me that's really strict and disciplined with the practice. And then there's the other side of me, the funny side of me, you know, the me that I let loose sometimes with my students. And we all have a great time. It's not like, you know, back in the day of Ajahn Chah, where it's like, no, everything is strict. This is a very strict school of Buddhism. And I aim to find the middle path of it, is that you can have fun during the path. But at the same time, also take it very seriously, so that, you know, you have to save you. Only you can save you. No one can and no one may, said the Buddha. So you take it seriously, you know, you will maximize your own results and be happy and be at peace with yourself.
Yes. And I will express, with everything that Venerable has said, to look at it without judgment, right? Like you said, curiosity, like take judgment away from it completely and just look at it from a curious standpoint and see what you would like to take away from it. That's what I would give advice for people listening. So nice. There it is. I mean, I could talk to you for every day for a long time, and I'm gonna follow you even deeper now. So thank you so much, and and keep on keeping on, man. Seriously, love it. Take care.
I am. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Be well. May all be happy. May all be free of mental suffering. May all be free of physical suffering. And thank you so much for having me. And please invite at any time. I'm available. And I will always make time for you. And for all that's listening, again, it is my duty as a monk to teach and to be there and to answer any questions that anyone's got.
Thanks. Take care.
Take care, Justin. Bye-bye.